Hello world, hello 2018, it's me Justin Allen again. I said I was going to be back, make another video. I'd like to talk about my version of Birth of Muslims. Like I said in my previous video, the Bible was changed. You know, there's a lot of fiction, non-fiction, things that could have happened through there. Nobody knows, and there's no way to tell. Because the English language wasn't created until now, and we changed every word of it. Every word of the Bible, we converted it to English, and who knows if they converted it to make it sound better or make it sound worse. So what I'm going to say is how I believe everything unfolded, because there's a lot of parts of this story that does not make sense, but with my unfolding, I was like, this makes perfect sense. I want my light on. Where's my light on? I don't know how to get my light on. There we go. Light on. Okay, so. So if we notice that the story of Moses was a Hebrew who lived with the Romans, and King Ramses kicked him out, and Moses traveled forever, found his wife, found everything, and then all of a sudden started listening to God and decided to go do something about it. Decided to free the slaves that's been enslaved for 400 years or so. So as he went to return, you know, a lot of the stories how, you know, he said God's going to put this upon you, you know. And if you think about everything that happened, I've seen some movies like God's Exodus, and that actually was a good movie, but they made God so ruthless. It's unbelievable how they made God ruthless. You know, he's talking about kill, 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 and, you know, maybe, you know, in their language it's like, bring him back to me, bring him back to me, you know, I'll straighten him out, bring him back to me, I'll punch him. But we, English language converted it to kill, and so as Moses came over there, you know, some people are trying to go science on this one, saying that, hey, you know, when he first went over there and brought all the, you know, saw all the bugs coming, well, you know, they did shit and piss in the backyard, so of course that would bring all kinds of bugs, you know, and leprosy and locusts and everything else, and then after time, all those bugs would make the cows sick, you know, the mad cow disease, and the cows just went into the river, and what was in the river? Maybe crocodiles, lots of crocodiles, because I don't think they had poachers back then. I don't think they made alligator boots and alligator briefcases. I think that the alligators just kept on overpopulating and ate all the cows and turned their blood red. And then after that, you know, God said he was going to take the firstborns. You know, that could just been the SIDS, you know, sudden infant death syndrome. Who knows? But what I'm going to go to is I'm going to jump ahead after he frees the slaves. If you notice the route that they travel, they actually travel in between the Red Sea. And you notice you can't cross the Red Sea. But back then, he crossed it. You know, they said that God split it. Well, you know, I'm not going to say God split it. You know, I don't think that, you know, because then that'd be like saying God cheated in the game of Monopoly. I don't think he split it. But I think what happened was, because when they arrived there, in all the movies and all the stories I've been told, it was unpassable. They got there late at night, they fell asleep, they woke up the next morning, and all of a sudden there was a path to cross. Well, science can very well explain that, because they say that the ice caps are melting 1 inch per year, and if you go back 10,000 years, 20,000 years, what makes that? Ice caps are huge. So if the ice caps are huge, ocean levels could have been low. The Red Sea could have been low. And if you notice that this could have been actually a body of water and a body of water that connects on high tide and disconnects on low tide. So when it was in the morning is when they woke up, they saw the path, and it could have just happened to be a low tide. The water goes down, they saw a path, they crossed the path, and by the time the Romans were chasing them, the high tide came and swept them away. Some of the very back of the Romans went back and told the family what happened. The others died. So if you notice, where they ended up in Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Syria. But that's the world of today. Because if you go back in history, the world's changed so many times. They fought in land over, back and forth, back and forth. The lines changed so many times. I don't even know where they could have ended up. But they are all here. What is here? A Muslim country. All Muslims. Okay, so once when they passed, the Romans are all sunken in the river, and we're trying to figure out why it doesn't do that ever again. Maybe the ocean water risen, and maybe all the swords and shields left underwater, cut the ground away. Every time high load came and low tide came, it cut the ground away. As a plumber, I can tell you that when you're soldering copper together, if you don't deburr the pipes, copper pieces can break off inside, and over a 20-30 year time, it will cut a hole in the pipe. Guarantee you, it will. So if copper is a metal, which is heavy underwater, can cut metal pipe, why can't swords cut dirt? Okay? And so, they said that they tried looking for all the gold and look for all the swords, and they can't find it. It's like it's all gone. Well, I'll tell you why they're all gone, because once when they came over there, they realized that the whole Romanian army died. And so Moses was like, well, if they all died, where's the threat? I'm going back home. I'm going back to my wife. So they passed, maybe they went around because they didn't trust that thing again. But I think they split it right here. I think half followed him. Moses and his disciples, the people that surrounded him 24/7, followed him. I think it split in half. The people that stayed were probably the weak, the handicapped, the women and children. They stayed. The rest, they followed him because they've always followed him. And like I said, in the line of 10,000 people, the people in the back, they probably didn't even know Moses. They probably didn't even shake his hand because there's just so many people. And they just heard stories all the way down till the end. So they had no idea who Moses. Well, they knew who Moses was, but they got their own idea of they got their own idea of the religion. So those people stayed in Iraq. They stayed while Moses went back. And when they went back, maybe they picked up some of the gold that was left from the dead people. Because when they went back down to Mount Sinai and Moses disappeared making the Ten Commandments, all of a sudden they had gold statues that they're praising. Where'd they get that gold from? They had to have gotten it from there, because that's the only way they can get the gold. I know they didn't go out mining for gold or copper or whatever it could have been. We labeled it gold. Maybe it was silver. I don't know. But I think they picked it up on the way back. So half the people, went back with Moses, and half the people stayed. Well, half the people that stayed, they figured they're safe. They're like, hey, let's just make a life here. Let's just live here, make a life here. Everything's great. Well, the people that survived, the very tail end of the closing of the water, they ran back, told the families what happened, and remember all the firstborn sons died, so it didn't say anything about women. So I bet you there were some women left over, and there was probably some pregnant women that had sons. Now the women, just like in history, were, just like when Moses met his wife, the father said, hey, come lay with my daughters, come lay, sex was a thing like dogs back then. You know, once we learn heat, they give it up. I don't know why. It's just maybe to repopulate the world. So all the women that were left, obviously all the men died in the water, so the women had no men left. So the women's like, well, what's the point of staying here? So they left. The women left. Some of the women probably went to go find out what happened. Maybe go meet this Moses, maybe go meet whatever, and some of the women probably went up farther. Just get away from everything. Maybe they're too abusive. Maybe that's the country of Romania started from the women going up. Who knows? You know, we don't know unless we have a time travel and we went back there. You can read all these stories, but stories get changed. So when the women probably went over there, found them, and you know, mated and made a different breed, made the Iraqians instead of Hebrews. They made the Iraqians, made the Iranians, made the Syrians. You know, that's how the different breeds came about. Now the women that were probably pregnant, because there's probably 1 million population or so, I don't know. The women that were probably pregnant had boys. And when they grew up 20 years later, they probably wanted to know what happened to the father. Just like any fatherless child, they want to know what happened to their father. So they probably went over there, followed the story, followed the line, followed the path, went over there. Now these guys are probably scared as fuck. They're like, oh shit, they're coming to re-slave us, because the Roman children were probably dressed in, you know, the gear, the swords, the chains, everything like their fathers was. So they looked very, very intimidating. So these people over here, they quickly made a story up. They quickly denied that they were Hebrews. They denied they were Hebrews, and the women covered their faces up, covered everything up, so that their brothers wouldn't recognize that race. And that's probably how that came about, why they keep on covering their face, because the men probably loved it. They're like, ooh, that's awesome. So they denied the Hebrew race, and when they came along over there, they said, where's Moses? And I have no idea what you're talking about. Okay, well, who are you guys? Are you guys the Hebrews? No, we're not the Hebrews. Well, you guys praise the God of Abraham? No. Well, who do you praise? And they just made it up. Maybe they thought about it, maybe they whatever, but they made it up, and they said we are Muslims. They made that word Muslims. That's where I'm saying the birth of Muslims came from, right there. And they're like, well, what God do you praise? Well, they were probably hearing that, you know, Moses maybe yelling after he crossed the sea, maybe he was yelling, hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. But if you listen to that from far away, it really sounds like Allah, hallelujah. You know, that H is silent, hallelujah. So they named their God Allah, hallelujah, to Allah. And they left off the hallelujah because they didn't like that probably. So these Muslim people created their God's name, Allah, and noticed that God killed all the Romans in the water. So he said, oh, they didn't believe in God, so they got killed. And that's how they came up with kill the non-believers. Because Moses' God, that they named Allah, killed the non-believers. Now they're so far away from Moses, so they didn't even know. Moses had no idea that they made an own religion. Moses had no idea what's going on. He's like, you know, Moses is making the 10 Commandments. Moses comes out. He's like, what the hell's going on here? You know, and those guys were probably scared of being, you know, because they thought Moses died. They thought Moses disappeared. You know, because Moses apparently went up to the mountains for 40 years to get the 10 Commandments. So they talked about it and renamed theirs. They didn't want to be called Hebrews no more. Because maybe there was a guy running back and forth just giving word here. Oh, hey, I guess they changed their name to Muslims. Maybe, maybe not. So they probably got together and said, hey, you know what? Let's change our names to Jews. We're Jews, you know. And I think that's where the Jews came from. Jews came from Hebrews. Jewish. And so some of those people somehow went back, and maybe some of the people that were Muslim, that were with him, that followed the Muslims, like, I think I like the Jews also, you know. Anyways, maybe they feuded back and forth. Like, oh, screw the Jews. And so that's how the Jewish came about. So you got Muslims and the birth of Jews. Okay? And later on when Christ came about, Christ, because Christ was fallen Hebrews, Christ was Hebrews, Christ was then called Jews because that's what they changed their name to. And so Christ's always been associated with the Jews. And so that's why everybody wants to kill Jews. That's why the Germany wanted to kill Jews. Hitler wanted to kill Jews. And so that's how everything came about. There's something else I'm saying. Well, anyways, so then, after Christ was born, the followers of Christ, they actually changed the Jews to Christianity because they were the followers of Christ. Christianity didn't come until they followed Christ. And then eventually, later on, America took that and said, okay, Christ is the right God, and we rolled with it. And so that is the birth of Christianity, birth of Muslim, and the birth of Jews. And I think that's it for this lesson because I'm trying to keep my videos short so people can watch them. And I should have another video soon, hopefully, after I see what kind of comments I got. Please, no haters. If you don't believe a word I say, that's fine. All I'm saying is these are theories. These are what I came up with. And I'd like to add, some of you guys might be confused. You might be confused why I'm maybe cussing or saying bad words. Like, well, how is he saying all these bad words and talking about this, talking about this? Well, you know what? God didn't make bad words. The English language made bad words. There was no bad words in the Bible. The English language put them in the Bible. And if I could rewrite any law, I would like to say that there are no bad words. I'd like to erase all bad words. I think the only thing that's bad is when you use it derogatory. Like instead of saying, fuck, I forgot something. That's a good word. But if you say, I'm going to fuck you up, that's a bad word because you're using it towards somebody. If you say, shit, I can't believe that happened, that's fine. If you say, I'm going to shit on you, that's bad. Just like, I messed up. That's fine. I'm going to mess you up. That's bad. I think that all derogatories should be the bad words. And all the other words are just words. I don't see a problem with those words. And I think that if you live by my 5 commandments, you don't need the 10 commandments. If you live by the 5 commandments, I think that everybody should be happy and perfect, and I think that's what God needs. God wants 5 commandments. Believe in Him, honor thy mother and father, honor thy neighbors, even your neighbors. Do unto others as you want done to you, and do not sin by murder, kill, rape, and that should be all that you need. Obviously, they say can't have money and greed, but we have to. I'm sorry, we have to. You have to live. You have to have a nice house. You have to, if you're living on the bridge, your kids are not going to grow up believing in a better life or believing that God. It just, as long as you have a house, you say, see, God provided this house for us. They have a better chance of believing. You just can't. So I like to erase all those commandments. I think the English language added the 10 commandments. In fact, to make it sound more powerful, the 10 commandments. You can't just say, the 5 commandments. No, the 10 commandments. So, all right, thank you. Thank you for watching. Please, if you have anything to say, please say it. Share this video if you'd like to. I like to hear from everybody. And No bad comments, please. Just if you don't like what I say, that's my business, my prerogative, and freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of power. Thank you, and bye.